8.3, write algebraic expressions to model situations. So we have worked the last two lessons to get to this. So we're going to take a lot of information that we have done in lesson one and lesson two, and we're putting it into this and we're turning it into algebra. And so don't let that scare you. That just means we're going to add a letter to it. Not a big deal. You guys don't even realize that you solve algebra a lot in your heads by doing like 8 plus what equals 16. That what? That's your unknown factor. And that's what you're really talking about when we're doing what we are doing with algebra. So we got some stuff here at the top to help us. I have several vocabulary words that we're going to be using. Algebraic expression is an expression that contains one or more variables. A variable is a letter or symbol used to represent one or more unknown quantities. A constant is a specific number that does not change. A coefficient is a number that is multiplied by the variable in an algebraic expression. I know I just threw a lot of new things out with you, but we are going to be talking about them, and by the time we're done, you're going to feel pretty good about them. So let's look at some examples. So here's an algebraic expression. We have 2x plus 75. So it looks very similar to our numerical expressions, but the difference being that we threw a variable or like a letter in there. So the coefficient is the number that's next to the letter. The constant is the number that is not next to the letter. It's on the other side. So we have 2x. 2 is the coefficient because it's right next to the letter. 75 is away from it. And let's talk about the first thing we are going to be doing here. We're going to go right over here to the right-hand side, and then we'll go down towards the bottom. A daycare center has 2 baskets of dolls. One basket has 8, and the other has an unknown number of dolls in it. What expression can you use to represent the situation? So, A, can you write a numerical expression to represent the situation? No, we don't have enough information. What do you know about the situation? Complete the sentences. There are 2 baskets. One has 8 dolls in it. The other has blank number of dolls. An unknown. We don't know how much is in the other one. So, because it does say unknown right up here in the paragraph. C, if you do not have all the information you need, could you still write an expression to represent the situation? Yes, we can. I can use a letter to help. And so my expression is I have 8 plus, we don't know the other one, so I'm just going to use x. So this is our expression. 8 plus x. The x is just standing for the amount that we don't know in the second basket. We cannot solve this because we don't have anything else. It's an expression, not an equation. An expression does not have an equal sign, so therefore we're not going to be able to solve it. Explain why the expression in part D is an algebraic expression. Because it contains a variable. So it contains a variable. Identify the coefficient. Okay, so if we look over here, the coefficient is right in front of the letter. In this case, there's not a number in front of the letter. There's just one X there. And when they just put a letter there, that means that there's actually a number 1 in front of it. However, it's like when we say there's a dog. We don't say there's one dog. A dog stands for, hey, there's one dog there, but we can use a instead. Okay, now down here on the right-hand side, I gave some example of keywords that mean addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, or that's going to be an exponent. These are not all of them, but they are some of them. We're going to learn how to write out some examples. And this kind of goes in with the last lesson of what we did. So we're just keeping it flowing, and this time we're adding letters in. So we're going to, if you have a highlighter, I'd get a highlighter out. That would be helpful. Otherwise, just underline and do what I do. First, we're going to read it. 4 points fewer than the Bulls scored. So the number I have is 4. So I'm going to write 4 above it. Fewer than means I'm subtracting. And we're just going to pick, I'm going to pick S for scored. Now, fewer than. If I look over here, it says fewer than flip. That means we're going to take our variable and our number and flip them around. So if it was 4 points fewer than, that means I'm subtracting that from the total score. We don't know the total score, so we are keeping at a variable. The variable is the unknown, and we cannot solve this. This is done. Sorry, my S looked like a 5, and it was making me mad. Not that that's a better S. Let's look at the next one. 12 times the number of feet. Let's look for our number. Oh, it's 12. We're going to write that above it. The word that means our operation is times. That is times. And number of feet. I'm going to use F. Now, there are several ways that we can write this. One being 12 times F. Another being 12 times F with our dot. And here's a new one for you. A number right next, sandwiched to the letter, that means multiplication. So it's just one less thing for you to have to write. So a number and a letter next to each other means multiplication. And for those of you that don't like to write a lot, this is for you. You will start seeing it like this in algebra, so I suggest you start using it so you know what to expect there. Write the phrase 4 times the number of gallons as an algebraic equation. So there's a lot of extra stuff in there that we don't need. First, let's look for a number. We have 4. The word that means the operation is times. And I'm going to do G for gallons. So you could do 4 times G, 4 dot G, or 4 with G right next to it, because a letter and a number right next to each other means multiplication. Our next one. Raj is 3 inches taller than Howard. Let H represent Howard's height. We're going to write this as an algebraic expression. So our number is 3. Taller than, that would be plus, and we're using H. So you could do 3 plus H, or you could do H plus 3. It does not matter the way you write those. We have several more. Write the phrase 5 less than, would be subtraction, 3 times the number of points. I'm going to use P. So because this was all together, we're moving it to the front because less than and fewer than means we're flipping it. So instead of writing 3 times P, I'm going to do 3 with P right next to it because a letter and a number next to each other means multiplication. So 3P minus 5. And so that was a 2-step problem because there's multiplication and subtraction in it. And I put that on there twice. Hopefully by the time I print your notes out, that's not there. And our last one, 12 times the number of feet. So my number is 12. Times means multiplication. I'm going to use F for feet. And we've done that one already too. I'll get those off there for when we actually have your notes printed out. Let's go to the next slide. We're on check understanding. We're going to skip down. Marcus has 4 times the sum of 6 and the number of marbles David has. So 4 times, and then we're doing the sum of 6 and the number of marbles David has. Let D represent the number of marbles. So this is going to be D. The sum means the sum is the answer to an addition question. So we have to put that together in parentheses so we get that answer before we multiply it by 4. So 4 times 6 plus D. Now, there's several ways that you could write this. You could flip the D and the 6. You could put the times 4 at the end. But in jest, it would look like this. Next one. A lot less words in this. The quotient of t and 13. Quotient means we're dividing. So t divided by 13. Next one. Product means we're going to multiply of g and 2 plus m. So the product of g and 2 plus m. So we're adding m at the end. Product is the answer to a multiplication question. So we're putting this part in parentheses. So we have 2g plus m. Now, a lot of you might be like, why does the number have to go first? But if we think alphabetically when we're putting things in order, if like a title starts with a number, those go before the letters. So we put them together because a letter and a number next to each other means multiplication. What do you remember? Jaden. Oh, remember when we get to this part, if you're doing this by yourself, make sure you're checking out what you can do by yourself before you do this. I know this is new. It's interesting for you. We have to be reading carefully, so be careful. Jaden begins with 25 cups of soil at the greenhouse. Each day he fills 5 cups more. Write an algebraic expression to represent the number of cups you will have after n days. So here's our letter. We have n. So he fills up each day, or each means multiplication. So we're going to do 5n because we're multiplying those together for each day. And more. That means we're going to add 25 to it. So he started with 25, then each day he does 5 more. So depending on how many days he has, we can plug in whatever number that we need. Remember, a letter and a number next to each other is multiplication. 32 divided by b. That just means 32 divided by b. The sum of 112 and m. Sum is addition, so just 112 plus m. The product of 1/2 and x. Product means multiplication, so we're going to multiply these two. We have 1/2 times x. You can write it like that, or you can just put it together like that. And I'm pretty sure that's all for this lesson, and that is.